How do you get connected to your intuition? And what do you do when you get an intuitive hit? Do you choose to follow your intuition, or do you choose not to follow your intuition? I'm Candace McKim, Yogini's Guide. I'm the author of Yogini's Guide, Intuition is a Choice book, as well as Yogini's Guide to Intuition Oracle cards. And I believe our intuition is our soul speaking to us. And when we can follow our intuition, we can follow a life towards happiness and joy and prosperity and abundance and a lot of joy and excitement. I became a yoga instructor, but I have always had yoga in my life. I was a little girl doing yoga postures on the front lawn. At 13, my parents became hardworking, self-employed parents of 3 teenagers, and were looking for a way to deal with stress. And they took us, our entire family, to learn meditation. So at a very young age, I had a very strong meditation practice that I continue. It's a non-negotiable part of my life, and a very big part of yoga. At 16, through consciousness, I became a vegetarian. Diet, another important part of being a yogi and creating sustainable life. In my 20s, I went into the helping field and became a social worker. I knew I wanted to help people, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, so that was the best option for me at the time. In my 30s, I got a very, very clear intuitive hit while I was meditating to become a yoga instructor. I remember it very clearly. I literally jumped out of meditation. I flew out of meditation and looked for a program to take, and I became a yoga therapist. And then I spent the next 10 years trying to combine yoga therapy with talk therapy. The benefits of talk therapy we know are true, but I wanted to combine it with the body, mind, and the spirit and bring it together through the chakra system into a form of intuitive counseling and mentorship, and I started my mentorship program. While I was doing my yoga teaching, I taught for many years. I had the same schedule, 12 classes a week for 15 years, and I would get intuition about what the yoga postures meant on a spiritual level. And so I started to write and create a deck of oracle cards. And I just would write them. I didn't do much with it. I would just keep notes of what the yoga postures meant on a spiritual level. And then I knew I wanted to move my business into teaching workshops. So I went and took some training to do workshops. In the training, I got very, very clear about what my purpose was. And I realized that my purpose was to help women specifically, but women who had been violated and women who were living in situations that were killing their souls, women who are stuck in jobs that don't serve them, marriages and relationships and living in living conditions that weren't serving their highest good. And so I took that purpose and I sat with it for a while. It showed up in my clientele. And I made a conscious decision to kind of put it on the shelf. My children were still young, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring that energy into my home. In 2013, I found out about an organization that was doing what they call a Global Seva Challenge. Global meaning they chose a country and a cause, Seva meaning to be of service, and challenge was to raise $20,000. The country and the cause was India, and the cause was victims of sex trafficking. I knew instantly I needed to do it. I knew I needed to take off my rose-colored glasses and follow my intuition into this purpose. I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I was not a fundraiser. I didn't know how I was gonna do it. But when you're in this flow of following your intuition and following this guidance, things flow and it happens easily. So in 9 months, I had raised the $20,000 and I was going to be going off to India. Again, I got another intuitive hit. 6 weeks before I was to go to India, I got, the very, very clear message to sell my studio. I did, and 2 days before before I went to India, I handed over my keys. Everybody thought I was crazy. What are you doing? You know, what are you gonna do when you come back? Well, I came back, and it opened up space and time for me to write my book, to dig out my deck of oracle cards, start to write them, and I knew there was a book in there. And I started to develop it more and more until they became a product. But really what it's about is following our intuition, because we have a choice. We always are getting opportunities to follow our intuition. And I want to encourage you, like, just imagine what you can create when you're living in this flow. Imagine what it does, not only for you, but for your family, for your household, for your community, and ultimately the entire world. When you're living on purpose and following the guidance, the opportunities come. So please, shoot me an email, contact me, join my circle of women, of other women, powerful, strong women who are stepping into their purpose and following their intuition and their guidance. because ultimately intuition is our choice. Namaste.